And it's time to go to Mars to talk to the man from Mars and get the view from Mars, Mr. Jim Mars, that wonderful young man from Texas who has a real future in this business. I don't know why he reminds me of Mark Twain, but I think that's a pretty good thing to be reminded of when you talk to him. How are you, James?
So you think I've got promise in the business, huh?
You got a future. I know it.
Future here, yeah.
I know that.
But I'll tell you, I'm not sure they need any more guys with guitars sitting on the street corner. Banjo.
No, don't take the guitar, take the banjo.
That's right.
Well, with our embroidered history, I mean, you have firmly stepped front and center up again.
Oh, well,
I've
taken up a new instrument.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I sent off for...
a kazoo?
Anyway.
That's wonderful. I was close. I said kazoo.
Pretty close.
It's harmonica.
Now, here's what's wild. This is a Mississippi harmonica.
What does that mean?
Well, it says it's made by the Mississippi Harmonica Company, and it's got a wonderful etching of a steamboat on the front of it, but on the underside of the harmonica, it says, "Are you ready?"
I'm ready.
What do you think? Take a guess.
On the underside? Huh? On the other side.
It's made in.
Oh, no.
Made in.
Oh, no.
You know what it says.
Oh, geez. China.
Of course.
I can't. This is sad.
Somehow find that humorous that I get a Mississippi harmonica from the Mississippi Harmonica Company made in China.
on the shores of the Yangtze River. Forget the Mississippi.
I'm sure.
Come on. Mr. Sippy must be pretty unhappy about that. This is disgusting. I'm appalled. Well, I'm not
probably
appalled.
Nobody even consulted him.
Here's one of the truly original classic American musical instruments. I don't know who invented the harmonica, but harmonicas have been a part of American culture from the beginning, and now that is also perverted and corrupted. Shame on the company for not letting Americans build their harmonicas.
Well, but if Americans had made it, it might cost, I don't know, 10, 15 cents more.
See, you're right. It's enough to dissuade anybody.
And everybody wants to save a dime. I mean, my wife will drive 20 miles out of her way, counting wear and tear on the car and gasoline and everything else, probably $5-10, to save 2 cents on a gallon of gas.
I don't know.
I don't quite get it.
No. I know people do that. It is odd. By the way, speaking of gas, just a quick note. There are stations that sell non-ethanol fuel. You want to try to find those. Valero is one of them.
Yeah.
They don't. Not all the Valeros have it. Mine does. And I'll tell you right now, I drive a 1997 car, and I'm getting 5 to 8 miles a gallon better with non-ethanol premium gas than I was with the ethanol crap that ruins your engine. The car runs much better. It's like it's had a tune-up. And I talk to some of the attendants at the station when I fill up, and they say they're hearing the same thing from most of the people who are buying. People are raving about it. This is what gasoline used to be, Jim.
Yeah.
It didn't have corn in it. It didn't have grains in it.
Right.
It was fuel. And the engines ran right, and they didn't rot out at this. And now they're trying to bring out, they got E90, E85, and they'll probably try for E80 pretty soon. It's outrageous. So try and find ethanol-free fuel, folks, for your cars, your lawnmowers, any gasoline engine, because the engine will last longer and run better. And that's not a pitch for Valero, but that's just the one. Not all Valeros have it, but this particular station owner knew the value of it and trucks it in. So anyway.
Well, speaking of, I think everybody better start planning on having an old car. I think yours is probably still okay, but but after the questionable death of Michael Hastings, and after the remarks from this woman with DARPA and the guy,
former Bush aide,
Richard Clark, former anti-terrorism chief, who say, now the government has the ability to override the computer in your car. And then, they can accelerate it when you don't want to. They can brake it when they want to, and they can turn on the airbags when you don't want it to and don't have to crash. Now, this Hastings thing, I was a police reporter for years. I've been to more wrecks than I can even care to think about, from just fender benders to just incredibly horrible wrecks.
Me too.
And the number of times, and I have never seen a car blow up. I've seen some catch fire, and I've seen some that catch fire and will burn for a while and then hit the gas tank, and then they I guess you could say blow up, but they don't really, it's not like you see in the movies where it goes and pieces fly everywhere. It's just kind of a poop, and the fire engulfs the whole thing, And this thing, I have seen the video of whoever shot the video that came upon the Hastings wreck there, even before the fire trucks got there.
The raw
and that
video.
thing was a blazing ball of fire. And the witnesses said it blew up. Okay? Now, picture this. And I'm not saying this happened, but I'm saying they have the technology. They overcome the computer in his Mercedes. They force it to go 100 miles an hour, which he apparently, according to his friends, would never do. One of his friends said he drove like a grandma. And this is like in the early morning hours. It's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And so he's flying along, falls into a tree, and the car blows up. No, man. I mean, we got drunks out here in this rural county where I live, and they're running off the road and hitting trees and fence posts all the time. And what does it do? It crumples up your car. Okay? Your car doesn't blow up. Can it kill you? Oh, yes. But the car truck doesn't blow up. No, there was something how easy would it be then if you can control the computer on the car to simply accelerate the car, steer it into a tree, and then set off an explosive device that's already been planted in it. And then when the authorities get there, as happened here, you just got a burned out wreck. Who's to say what the heck happened? It smashed into a tree. Well, it hit a tree and it blew up. Not very probable, but just possible enough that they'll go on. And the thing is, if you're really an astute accident investigator, say with the LAPD, and you start looking into this accident and you realize that, this was either an accident, the car hit the tree, blew up, or this was a planned execution, assassination done by somebody with some real clout, somebody with some real knowledge, somebody with some real sophisticated technology. Now, which do you want to dig into? I think most people are going to say, well, it was an accident, and they're going to go on home.
He said he was working on something that was going to shock the nation or something like that. The same kind of thing that Andrew Breitbart said the day before he died of a heart attack. He's got video that's going to bring down the Obama administration.
Same thing Edward Snowden would have said if he had talked before he got out of the country and got on the run.
One thing about the car, Mercedes has a tremendous safety record. The front end is a whole crumple zone, and the idea that the car would explode can only be explained by a broken fuel line. Now that happens. That causes most fires in cars.
Okay, but listen to this, Jeff. As if you watch the video, the guy filmed the whole thing, and at some point midway there, after the thing's sitting there burning for some time,
it popped.
There is a pop, and it boomed. There goes the fuel. There goes the fuel tank. Okay.
Well, you know what else?
So something else was going on.
Well, here's the deal. Mercedes makes their cars with a large component of magnesium alloy in the metal. Magnesium burns.
Yes,
it burns.
Very
if you
hot.
Do a search, magnesium fires, and look. You get a magnesium car heated up hot enough, it'll pop. It'll boom like that. It can explode. There can be very quick ignitions when magnesium reaches certain temperatures. So that's a possibility. I'm not discounting what you're saying at all, but you got to look at the situation in its entirety.
Oh, well,
no question.
It's always plausible deniability.
No, that's right. No question. He was murdered. Zero. None. Everybody agrees on that. He's married. What's he out at 4:30 in the morning? Come on, that's ridiculous.
Now he works for Rolling Stone and writes for other things like that. So you can figure the left wing people, they ought to be supportive of him. He's revealing government skullduggery. He got Petraeus in a General Petraeus in a bad spot. Got him out of there. He was revealing he was also involved in revealing what the NSA has been doing to us. So you'd think that the right-wing, truthers, Tea Party people, they'd all be for him. So wait a minute, who's his enemies? Who would want to get rid of him? Excuse me, the government. Now, I simply ask everyone who's listening, is this really the country that we want to live in? Where, all my life I've read about closed society governments where East Germany, Russia, Soviet Russia, the Nazis, you got in their way, they just killed you, okay? Now, is that really the country we want to live in? Are we all just going to sit still and say, oh, well, and wait until they kill somebody else? This goes way back. Even Lyndon Johnson, who has been accused publicly of being a murderer himself, and I'm not just talking about some vague thing. They claim Bush is guilty of war crimes. They say Obama's guilty of war crimes, and they probably are. Mm-hmm. But that's in a broad general sense, in that they just head a country whose policies and actions are anathema to a lot of people around the world. But I'm talking about Lyndon Johnson has been accused of actually directly participating in the murder of people, okay? Not the least of which may have been John F. Kennedy. Right. But he was accused of having a guy named Smithwick killed, who was found hanged in the prison after he told people that he had access to the mysterious Box 13 that would have showed that Lyndon Johnson, when he got into the Congress, did so on a fraudulent, stolen election. He's also accused by the old fertilizer king, Billy Saul Estes. He said he was at a meeting when Johnson ordered his minions to get rid of Henry Marshall, an agricultural official who was looking into his background. And just a month or so later, they find Marshall on his ranch in Central Texas. He'd been shot 5 times in the chest. Near his body was a bolt-action .22 rifle, and they claimed it was a suicide.
Suicide. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then he, one of his hitmen, a guy named Malcolm Wallace, was convicted down in Austin of shooting a golf pro who was dating Johnson's sister, and Johnson didn't approve of it. So Mac Wallace goes out and shoots the guy down, and they actually caught Wallace, put him on trial, and convicted him, and then he was given a 5-year probated sentence, okay? And then went to work for the Agriculture Department, probably at the behest of Lyndon Johnson's. And so, at least in the death of Smithwick, a former governor of Texas, Alan Shivers, actually, to his face, accused him of murdering the guy. So here, that's one thing. All right, so it's bad enough when you got people like that in public office, and of course, most people didn't realize what a crib bum Johnson was if they hadn't been from Texas, because all they heard was, he's another national politician. But it's another thing when your government, the government in the country that you live in, somewhere deep within it, people can decide we're just going to kill people we don't like, and particularly people who are revealing our corruption and our criminal activities. Folks, this is a serious situation. You better tear yourself away from the TV and start thinking seriously about what kind of country you want your children and grandchildren to grow up in. Sorry, didn't mean to get preachy, but it just it really bothers me.
I think, honestly, we really need to face facts here, and I think we're pretty much on the same page. It really is too late. The majority is too dumb. The control is too complete in Washington and elsewhere. The surveillance is obvious. We've been talking about that for years. The masses now just don't have it.